evening and welcome to the Town of Auburn Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, February 23rd, now called to order at approximately 7 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast by Local Access Programming. Is there anyone here in the audience that's recording tonight's meeting? Hearing none, please rise and join us in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to just make an announcement that if anyone is here for the Central One Federal Credit Union hearing, that has been, they've asked for continuance, and I'd like a motion for the continuance. Do you have a date?
I do. Next meeting is March 8th.
March 8th. Okay.
Okay, motion to continue to March 8th.
Second. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. And first up is 346 Leicester Street, A&R, Dave DeLawis. Please come on up.
Good evening, all.
Hello.
I was here, a month and a half ago or so, and this is just a continuation of the parcel that we broke out. What I'm looking to do is basically swap a piece of land with one of my neighbors. I'm giving them 240 square feet more than I'm getting, but the parcels are basically 50 by 200 roughly. I'm receiving the parcel that my driveway is actually on, and I'm giving them a parcel that they actually use for a yard, so it works out for both of us, if it's agreeable with you guys.
Any comments from planning, Matt?
I do not. It's a very standard land swap.
Okay.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Second?
Motion made and approved. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy, these work much better. Those Sharpies. We haven't, he hasn't heard anything, and I have no idea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
The next up is the discussion, Cellco Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless, requesting a waiver of site plan review. in accordance with section 9.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaws to install single antenna and accessory equipment on 2 separate utility poles located on Selfridge Street. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, board members. My name's Chris Winiarski. I'm an attorney for Verizon Wireless. So I think what we have tonight for discussion, I think you could characterize it as either a request for a waiver of site plan approval or approval with a lot of waivers. The idea here being that there's no site. What we're proposing are 2 utility pole attachments. These are antennas to enhance the existing network. And as shown in the plans, these antennas are specifically designed to look exactly like transformers. They go on top of utility poles. They help us prevent having to construct new wireless facilities in areas where the demand is very pinpointed and very centralized. They're low to the ground, I believe, usually around 30 feet, 35 feet. The exact height is on each of the plans that were submitted.
Do you have a picture of what it looks like? There we go.
Oh, we need to rotate. So that's the existing pole, and then the canister itself is shown on the next page. And there's also a elevation right there. So
Are
if
there
you-
2 components to it or just the one?
There's the canister antenna, and then there are also radio heads, which are just flush mounted to the pole. If you want, I can point those out. So we have, well, this is just the
Better on
existing pole. So
Schematic map.
yeah, nothing's on here, so we can slide that way. So this is the antenna right here. Again, designed to look just like a transformer. This is the radio head, and there's obviously cabling that connects the 2. This particular one requires an electrical meter as well, so standard electrical meter. The antenna or radio head, just like any radio device. If you think of your car has an antenna and then a radio head unit. Same thing, the antenna transmits and receives, the radio head is what processes. The sizes and weights of these things are shown on the next page and below. As you can see, this is only 2 feet tall, 15 inches in diameter. It's literally this big. We have done a few of these. Really, we're rolling these out everywhere in New England right now. Not a lot of,
Are these in areas where you need more capacity?
Exactly.
Okay.
precisely, it's a capacity device. These are areas where we have some coverage, but the coverage is inadequate because we can't meet the capacity demand. So you usually see that we're putting these in areas of dense traffic. This is right on Route 12, right near the mall and the high school. Vehicular traffic is the main point of capacity issue right now. And a lot of people sort of think about it as, well, when you're in your car, you're not using data, but that's not accurate, actually. Many people these days are constantly downloading data in the vehicle, either by streaming music or simply email servers that are updating and pulling data from the network. So we find in areas like this where you have traffic and a lot of users concentrated because of the traffic, there's a very significant increase in the demand. This helps to offload that increase and provide better service.
So this strikes me as something that we're going to be seeing more and more of as we go along.
Yeah, we have big plans for this in the future.
Is this considered in place of these huge cell towers, or it just,
In a way, yes.
is that going to eliminate the need for those huge towers?
It
But
doesn't
no,
eliminate the need for existing towers, but
Not existing, but future.
yeah, it does. And that doesn't mean that there will never be another application ever for a new tower.
Sure.
But in the past, before we had this technology, what we would do is try to redesign the network and maybe put a smaller facility in this area. We may want to do, in this particular case, you may consider doing something on the rooftop of the mall or something on the rooftop of the high school. Those are possibilities, but this is much less obtrusive, and really this lets us pinpoint it right in an exact spot. So this is the alternative to that. It's very rare that this meets the same need as a tower, because towers are generally designed to provide coverage over a large area. You don't put towers where there's a dense demand. We don't have any towers in Boston, for instance, but we have hundreds of these in Boston. So again, this is just a way to sort of shrink down the network, and that's what we're doing a lot of right now. We call it a densification. In the past, you would want to build a tower as tall as you could to reach as far as you could. Now we're reaching that far, but we can't meet the demand of everyone that we're reaching. It's very comparable to the bandwidth issue of, say, a router in your house. Works great if you have 2 people on it or 10 people on it. Doesn't work so great anymore. It's exactly what's happening with the networks all over America right now. So it's pretty simple, it's pretty easy.
Can you slide over so that we can see what it actually looks like on the pole now that we've seen the schematic on it?
Yeah, I'll go to the previous image, it's a little easier to see.
There's one, you've got an image with it on the pole, correct?
There is no image in these plans of it on the pole. I can actually set that up though. I do have my laptop and a projector. Do you
Yeah, I'd
want
like to see what it actually looks like, because
Yeah.
seeing it on paper is one thing,
Put
but
that
seeing what
together
it looks like.
quickly.
Looks like a little can.
Yeah.
Well, it's a 2-foot high can.
I got one for
I don't know if
my
it's easier to just pass my laptop.
Can you say it's
around.
about 30 feet off the ground?
Let's see. I can tell you exactly. They vary from spot to spot.
These are proposed.
So the one that is near the high school would be on top of the pole. That one will be 36.5 feet at the top. The one that is right near the Sears is on the side of the pole. That one is at 24 feet. So they vary, but it's approximately 30 feet depending on where we're at.
Do you have a question, Matt?
I did. You mentioned one of them's on the top of the pole. I don't believe that's the case. First, one of the designs that one of your colleagues brought in, Mr. Bass, showed one on top of the pole. And we realized it needed a variance for increasing height from the ZBA, but that was since changed, and it was going to be on the side of the pole just like the other one.
You are right, I'm sorry. I brought the old plans. My mistake. Make a note of that. So I can show you some pictures of what they look like on the side of the poles. I don't suppose there's a way for me to plug this into your screens, huh? It's okay.
Better off just trying to get around so we can see it.
I have a projector. Here, this.
That's all right. Once you have it on your, just spin your
Yeah,
laptop
just so we
around.
can see what it looks like. Al, did you have any questions?
No, it's pretty straightforward to me. I think we should approve it and move on.
This is just a discussion.
Yeah, and we will be filing a special permit application for the next round. There was a little mix-up as to how we were treating this and what board would be the permit granting authority. So I think we've got that sorted out now.
I can elaborate on that.
Yeah, if you would, that'd be great in the meantime.
Sure. Through the chair, the original application ended up in front of the ZBA. Whether it was erroneously or not, I think it was dependent. Let me start over. These don't have a specific description in our bylaw. This is something new. Okay, so it falls upon the best interpretation of the code enforcement officer. The application came in as a ZBA application. As you can tell from the use table, it almost reads that way. When you get further into the special permit requirements in 9311, it reads that it's a special permit from the planning board. So it went to the ZBA last week. They decided it's not their jurisdiction. So in speaking with the applicant, a future special permit application will be, I think, available for our March 22nd meeting. In the meantime, as part of the special permit applications, the site plan approval is usually connected to it. So, in a situation like this where there's no parcel, the site plan approval was on our agenda first since it came in with the ZBA application. The board can decide what to do with the site plan aspect of this, and still knowing that there's a special permit pending later on, which could be conditioned in a way that the board sees fit. The waiver of site plan, I think, is more of just a formality since there is no site. It's a property owned by Verizon. It's a telephone pole in the right of way.
So here's an example of one of the side-mounted iterations of this. So this is all the existing utility pole. This is the antenna here. This one is a little higher up than what we're proposing. What we're proposing is actually in the middle. But you can see these are designed to look like a transformer. This happens to be a pretty large transformer. Most of them are not quite this big. I can probably pull up a few different ones too. That's a top-mounted one, but just to give you an idea of what the equipment looks like. And again, this is the radio head is in here. Again, another top mount. We don't do a lot of the side-mounted ones, so most of the pictures I have are top-mounted. But let me see. This is a little bit of a closer look at the the radio heads. That's actually an existing utility box for comparison. So, I mean, this one really shows you what we're talking about. If you can imagine this coming off the side of a utility pole, we have a pole that looks more like this, because that's what the ones that we have in Auburn look like. So yeah, I mean, not terrible looking. I personally don't think you would notice this if you didn't know it was there, to look for it. And it was specifically designed that way. The industry came to the conclusion that it would be easier to deploy these faster if we could make something that was really pretty palatable to all of the municipalities. And this is going on all over the country too. I'm involved in it all over New England, but I know that it is in fact something that has been deployed pretty successfully in California and is really going on in every metropolitan area in the nation.
Well, I think you're going to be coming back for the special permit.
Yeah.
Maybe we take everything up at that one time, or do you want to do the waivers now? It's up to, I mean, I recommend that we wait.
I got some
Special
questions.
permit, you got some questions, Ron? Go ahead.
Okay, concern about the microwave
Mm-hmm.
and the closeness to the people walking.
Mm-hmm.
We usually require some type of a survey for those that are on the towers. So I have a concern about that. The proximity to the ground, the aesthetics. They're designed as utility poles to hold utilities for what already serves the people. Are they gonna be overcapacitated by having these put on them? You're not gonna be the only carrier, I would presume?
Well, it's likely that we would be the only carrier on any given pole.
Right, but there'll be others on other poles.
I would assume so, yeah.
This is just the beginning.
So as far as capacity, this weighs 22 pounds. And we have a procedure in place with the utilities that own the poles. It's the same procedure that
I mean, half of the poles look like they're ready to come down anyways. So, I mean, I'm just have a concern about adding all this additional stuff on it without
And what is the
having
weight
some
on it?
type of survey.
22 pounds.
22 pounds.
22 pounds straight up is one thing, 22 pounds out at a 45-degree angle is a different thing. It weighs twice as much.
Right,
So
we have a,
I think it requires a little bit of regulation, a little bit more than what just an automatic, okay, everybody's getting them, they're going in all the communities.
so I can answer all of your questions. As far as the structural component of it, that is regulated by the utility, and we do go through a structural analysis on each one before they allow us to pick a particular pole. That's part of it. And like I said, this is 22 pounds. It's not making the pole come down, whether it's on the side or on the top. 22 pounds is not even, it's nothing on a telephone pole at all. Even when it gets hit by a car, still nothing on the pole. As far as the radio emissions, the board might be aware that that's regulated by federal law. There are limits set in place by the FCC. We are less than 300% of the threshold allowed by the FCC. And I can supply a statement to that effect in our special permit application, that's fine. But, you know, I remember when these things were first coming out, that was always a big concern. And it was very quickly determined that there aren't any municipalities that have the resources to do that evaluation. You know, that was in the mid-90s, before the proliferation of information on the internet. And you can imagine, I do this for a living all over New England. I see people coming in with articles they've pulled from wherever, claiming this and that. And that's specifically why the federal government has stepped in and completely preempted states and local governments from regulating that issue. It's because they don't have the resources. I usually compare it to, let's say, if a CVS was coming before the board, certainly regulate the site, the planning, but to regulate what kind of drugs are sold there, or doesn't have the resources to do that evaluation. Federal government does that through the FDA.
Do they regulate the minimum height that it's allowed on the pole?
No,
No.
because the height is really determined by the exact need in that area. And of course, it can fluctuate. So if we have it at 24 feet, that's not to say 23 feet doesn't work. But the regulations do change depending on your height. So the thresholds will change. If it's above 10 meters, which none of these are, there's virtually no regulation because there's virtually no measurable emissions. These are subject to regulations because they're below 10 meters. But like I said, we are so far below the threshold, it's not even close to being an issue.
That would be a good idea, again, if you bring some of that information with you when you do the...
Yep, I can bring you a statement to that effect from a radio frequency engineer. Yep.
Excuse me, John?
As far as what's in front of us today,
It's just a discussion.
it's a discussion where they're looking for a request for the waiver of the site plan, right? Which is an action we vote on. And I think from my perspective, as far as that's concerned, this is a pretty simple application. There's really no site. So I don't know, I would have no problem making that motion to advance that part tonight. And then if there were other concerns on a special permit component that folks wanted to address, they could do that. So,
And again, it's like Matt said, this is something that, it's relatively new. We don't have it specifically, so...
I'd second that
Best.
motion.
okay. Well,
Okay, motion's
so
been made. and
in making the
seconded.
motion, I guess I would just ask, are there any suggestions that the town would have as far as conditions or other things that would go with that waiver?
I believe, through the chair, the board would have the opportunity to condition the plan through the special permit as that stays with the land.
Okay. And
Yeah,
so,
made and seconded, further discussion. Anyone in the
Discussion,
audience?
No one knew about it,
Yeah,
notice.
that's
Okay.
true, yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay, thank you.
Another question,
Yeah.
on the pole, it shows it looks as if it's on an arm. Or is that just the line that you have there?
Yeah,
Where it comes down and then goes back up and it supports that piece that sticks out right there? What is that, what are...
That's
that
not
lineage
actually
that's-
This is the existing light fixture.
That's
our
not there.
proposal. It's kind of hard to see, but it's easier on the paper. Those are the arrows from the drawing. That's not,
Okay.
if you look at this is a paper printout of that. You can see there is a light on that particular pole, but the white that you're seeing going down and up are the
So
arrows.
that part that comes out on the top left is not
Not
part of
yours.
your,
Correct, it is not.
That's
That's
just the light
existing, that's a light.
supported by some other structure.
Yeah, I think you can see it a little bit more clear on the schematic.
Yeah, the support for that, it's hard to see, but the support
I
is
see it.
actually that right there, and those are just lines drawn by the engineer's software. Yeah, if there's anything additional, any other information that would be helpful, I have just about every bit of information about this
Okay.
you can imagine.
Well, Matt?
Yeah, through the chair, if any information Mr. Brooks has addressed, if you
Yep.
have the answers for that on
That would
paper,
be-
you can submit with the application. If
Yep.
that'd be
Yeah, the more you
appropriate.
can submit with the application, the more...
Don't want to overwhelm
Would
you.
be, okay. Dave, did you have...
Just strictly curiosity, I'm just curious, how far is the range on these for a car to pick up or a phone to pick up?
You can, it's not completely precise because it's going to vary by the height and also by what else is there. But you can figure it to be roughly 1/8 of a mile, give or take, when you're around 30 feet. As they go higher, that range is farther, but the effectiveness it is less as well.
No, I'm just curious, that's all.
I guess the answer I think everyone is looking for is, who's it going to help? This is designed to help the people in the immediate vicinity within that 8-mile radius. It's not going to provide any sort of extended coverage in other places, but as we see the demand grow in other places, and we can monitor it down to single devices. I mean, we literally do know how many devices made an attempt that was throttled, the speed was reduced, or failed. We know exactly, and that's how we determine where these are needed at the moment. And that's another benefit to this, is as that demand changes with different development, different traffic patterns, this is something that's easy to deploy, easy to change. This is not building a tower. This can be installed in a day. So it's a really good, versatile way to meet the demand. And that demand is changing so fast. It's unbelievable. And you can imagine here, I mean, the school's not going anywhere, but malls change, obviously. That demand can change. If something new is brought into the mall that increases activity there, that most certainly changes the demand for our service too.
So it enables a call if you're in that area, and then when you advance beyond the 1/4 mile or 1/8 mile,
Picks up
does it
someplace
look,
else.
pick it up? Do you,
Yeah.
you keep skipping from one to the other?
You don't skip from one to the other of these. This is integrated into the existing network, so just like your mobile device works now, where you may be transmitting back and forth from one facility, and as you travel, you're handed off to the next. This is the same thing. This is really sort of a shrunken down version of the existing facilities you see everywhere. And that's maybe an oversimplification, because believe it or not, you're usually never using just one facility. You're probably using 2 to 3 at all times, and whichever one is the strongest is the one it's focusing on. But your device is maybe here, and if there are towers here, here, and here, you are using all of those. And as you move to this area, now you stay with this one and you pick up 1, 2 here, and that's how the network works.
It's how they track you.
It is how the GPS works.
My watch does it.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the future. Everything does it. Most people cannot live without it anymore. It's a utility like no other. I mean, if you look at your usage, you use your mobile device more than you use running water. I would guarantee you. For most people. So it's something everybody wants and needs.
Yeah.
All right,
well,
thank you all very much, and we'll have our special permit application in, and we'll see you at
We'll see
the
you again.
next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Marie Baker, requesting a special permit for a Hammerhead lot under section 5.3.2 of the Auburn zoning bylaws for the construction of a single-family dwelling at 310 Leicester Street. And I need a motion to open the hearing, please.
Make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For the record, my name is Patrick Burke. I'm a civil engineer at HSNT Group, representing the applicants. Baker's here with us tonight too.
Evening.
We're here for a special permit to allow creation of a hammerhead lot at 310 Leicester Street. The existing conditions, currently there's a single-family home on the entire lot, which encompasses the green area and this white area here. On the site, there's also an existing access easement serving the abutting lot here. There's an existing home also on this lot.
What does that easement serve, please?
It serves, there's an existing home here that was created, the lot was cut out like around 1925, there's an existing home here. There's an access easement, and there's also utility poles for electricity serving this home in the back.
Is that considered a driveway, or is that a public way? Is that a private way?
It's not a public way. Historically, there was a proposed road that never went through here. It's just an easement granted from this property to this property before the subdivision control law took over in the town before 1940. So that's in place and active with this lot right now. On site, there's also wetlands in the middle of the lot here, which is shown here. What we're proposing is to create the Hammerhead lot located in the green area here for a single-family home. In the back here, we've done testing in the area. We can fit a septic system in the yard area here outside of the wetland boundaries. Provide the grading here. We would also use this access would be through the handle coming up to a driveway to the single-family home. Access to lot 1, we would like to create an easement coming in. The current access is on the side here through an existing gravel road. We'd like to maintain that, create a driveway easement to come through here so that the access to lot 1 would also be through here. We comply with the new lot for lot 1, complies to dimensional regulations, the zoning, and lot 2 complies to dimensional regulations for the Hammerhead lots. We're requesting waivers for the application for lighting plan, landscaping plan, just because it's a single-family home. Lighting on the house would be like coming in outdoor floodlight or something like that. Landscaping plan should be lawn area, shrubs around the house. I think it's simple enough to be understood without providing a landscape architect plan and lighting plans.
Right.
So, the existing easement, the 20-foot easement
Yes.
that you say is there, that allowed, and what did that do? It's to the right-hand side of the 50-foot easement?
Yes, it's to the right
It's that
hand
thin
side here.
brown strip there that's 20 feet.
Yep, and that was to give access to this lot.
Okay. Which is staying there,
That's existing now and is staying there.
and that's gonna stay there.
Yes.
So it needs something to get to it.
We're gonna maintain this easement that will be in place when we cut out the lot.
I'm just trying to...
What's the front, it's like 50 feet.
Show me approximately where that circle for the new house is gonna be on that left-hand diagram.
On the left-hand diagram for this circle, right up here.
Right up in there? Okay. So you have to keep 20 feet of it as an existing driveway that went to the house on the right,
Yes,
and then the other 30 feet, well, and you're calling it all, though, the new driveway for the 50 feet of frontage up into the Hammerhead, to the new
the
lot?
frontage for the Hammerhead is along Leicester Street here.
Is that 50 feet?
Yes,
Which is a compiling of the 20 feet existing and the 30 feet you're adding.
yes,
And so it's gonna still serve the house on the right, and then it's gonna serve the house on the left down in the front, although they have 142 feet of frontage still existing on Leicester Street?
yes, that'll create less disturbance in the front yard. We
Right,
could- we could-
I'm just saying, it's, but, I'm not sure how we look at the 50 feet being,
Yeah, there's some concern there.
Well, the frontage.
it's like the, it's not, it's like this, the main, it's the driveway for the guy on the right, the people on the right, as you go up. And it's, it's just that they're not gonna be tied to the Hammerhead lot at all. I mean, even if they were, they're at the discretion of the guy that owns the Hammerhead lot.
But that's part of this access easement. They have to have access through the easement and for the utility poles.
Matt, did you know?
Yes, so with the driveway you're proposing, Mr. Park, is this to be a common driveway?
It is, we will be shared driveway amongst these two lots coming in here. We'd like to do that to stay away from the wetlands area here. Instead of creating two.
Well, it'll actually be shared by 3.
By 3, yes, on the front
The
portion of
existing.
this. Yes.
The existing one on the front could have his own driveway if he wanted to.
Yes.
So, I mean, and it's not crazy terrain there or falling down or going down, so that's,
No,
that's
it's
not the
very
issue
aesthetic.
really. I mean,
Go ahead.
So furthermore, through the chair, section 6.7.2, sorry, As common driveways for non-residential uses, common driveways for the purpose of this bylaw is defined as a privately owned and maintained driveway serving 2 non-residential lots, not more than 4 non-residential lots, subject to any planning board design and construction standards. The way I interpret this is that a common driveway isn't allowed for residential uses.
There's a few that I can remember. There's one off Cedar Street
One over that,
and one up on,
the end of South Street, that road
Hampton.
that goes over, there's one that goes way into the back there.
Cedar.
What about Fuller's place? Dickie's?
Those are just long driveways.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I don't
Those
think Dickie's
created as
Common
Hammerhead Lot, for Hammerhead Lot. Was that the,
Do they
The
also-
one he cited, I don't think
The
it's,
driveways.
I think it's their driveway.
Okay.
But, there is one that's off Cedar Street, it's a double. We did allow common driveways, or they were allowed for a while, and I'm not sure if they went out with the last bylaw change or not. There was,
May 2008, the bylaw revision.
The way we interpreted it is because of, there was no, in section 5.3, there wasn't a mention of the common driveway
Jonathan
in
said
there.
that.
We thought that would be more specific to commercial development.
can you keep the 20 feet on the right and then add another 20 on the left so that the
30 on
hammer,
the left, yeah.
well,
20 on the left, yeah.
20 on the, if you,
Yeah, for 50.
can you keep the 20 to the people on the right there in the white lot? Jocelyn or whatever their name is.
And then increase another 20 feet over on the entire.
On
Yeah,
the
but
left.
take the brown strip,
Yes.
that's 20 feet that would go with the lot on the right, that's already existing. And the, for the new hammerhead, add 20 feet on the left-hand side of the hammerhead. Have you got enough square footage that you can add 20 feet onto that for the length of that to get you up into where the house is gonna be?
I'd have to see if that brought the lot line setback into violation.
So we have
You got 125,000 square feet,
on the back lot, yeah.
but, or it shows it.
Well, what's on 125, what's in the back?
Yep, the
How
side
many
is
feet
separate.
is the hammerhead?
514, 11 acres back there.
No, okay, so that's plenty.
That's plenty, that's not the,
Oh, we got.
And the
The issue is
people
the
in the front,
access.
if they could make the strip wider to get the 50 feet, it's a better example of a hammerhead than we had last week. And if you could get 20 feet more on the left-hand side of that lot, and I mean, to me, it's, if those people that own the hammerhead want to allow the people in the front house to pass over and go in there, that's up to them. You know, it would have to be a permission thing by them,
yeah,
till the day they say, don't do it anymore, you know?
right.
But,
Sure, I just wanted to respond to the applicant's concern about section 5.3 regarding provision of lots recorded at the registry prior to May 4th, 1995. Reads, the provision of this section does not apply to lots shown on plans recorded at the registry before May 4th, 1995. The section we changed the lot, we've abandoned that. So that is something that applies to the easement for the house, for the lot that's non-conforming, existing, but now that if we're proposing to change the lot lines and add a driveway to this, this does not apply. So, in response to what Mr. Brooks is saying, if you slide the driveway over the 20 feet and keep the easement off of your hammerhead lot, you would encounter the wetlands. Yeah, I think you're about maybe a foot from it, and then all of a sudden you're looking at a conservation piling. Regardless, it's going to be necessary since the proximity of the driveway.
well,
is-
they can still, they can have that as 50 feet, and if there's some of that 50 feet that's not on the wetlands, you'd have to file, well, not on the wetlands, they can pass on that area.
Agreed,
I
and
think the
that's,
passing area only has to be, well, I'm not even sure there's a regulation on
Right.
it. It
That-
could be 8
that's-
feet.
that's what I'm getting at, and it may be in the board's best interest to ensure that the Conservation Commission has ruled on that prior to the vote of the board. In addition to that, I did receive a letter from or an email from National Grid this afternoon, and if I may, Madam
Sure,
Chair,
please.
this is, since there's an easement for overhead lines behind it, after reviewing the plan, Carol Childress from National Grid. The way the plan currently depicts the proposed house location provides enough information for her to see there's no outward disturbance to our transmission line right of way. However, given the wetlands issue and the possibility that conservation could ask them to move the house further back towards the transmission line within their jurisdiction, we will continue to monitor how this project progresses. One concern I have is that the proponent's plans show what appears to be downward slopes away from the rear of the proposed dwelling. So water runoff is a concern, and whether there will be drainage into our right-of-way, which is considered an activity that could alter the grade of the land under our transmission lines. So they also had couldn't be here tonight and wanted to express their concerns in writing. I also spoke with the town engineer, furthermore, Madam Chair, and the town engineer requests that the board consider having the town engineer, or if not a peer review this plan in advance of, before making a decision.
Well, I think they have to go, well, it's a whole bunch of steps, I'm not sure which has to happen first. You'd have to go to Concom to show them that you're moving the driveway over to the left to do that, so that you facilitate the lot having its own 50-foot. The giving of a hammerhead, or granting of the hammerhead lot is a special permit, and it's something we consider it kind of special. It's something that normally wouldn't happen, so you may have to do a few things to get it to that point. And I don't think it's a big deal. It's going to them and doing a filing. I'm not sure, because you do have a section of it that's dry, that is dry on that 50 feet.
Yeah.
And with relationship to National Grid, whatever you have to do to work with them in between.
But I think I'd be very curious to hear from any neighbors at some point too. But I mean, the thought that I have, I don't understand if they're not allowed to have a common driveway, then you'd be essentially requiring that they do a separate driveway. And I don't know in my mind how that's in any way better for the neighbors, the residents, or the town to have a second driveway with more impervious area near the wetland. So I don't personally have an issue with the common driveway, provided that the easements and all those things are in place.
But the hammerhead has to have its own
That's right.
50-foot strip.
Right. So then you're talking about the question being,
I think you need,
That's
maybe you need to look at it, you know what we're looking
We'll
at.
take a look at it.
You need to engineer it a little different, maybe.
But I agree, we like to have a shared paved area accessing
Yeah,
both of these
I don't have
things,
any
if that's okay.
opposition.
For dimensional, to meet the
That's,
dimensional
I don't know,
requirements.
Not asking
people,
There's no-
that's so I'm just trying to be clear that I'm just trying to make sure I understand what it is you're asking them to do, which is basically to add an additional 20 feet
To
to
the
the
left.
To the
hammerhead
other
section, to the handle section,
Hmm.
to allow, to really have 70 feet, 20 feet of which would be
and the reason
shared.
being is that you can't call it a common driveway which would share the existing facility and the new one. So in order to eliminate that, you let the other one be existing, the original 20 feet, and you add 20 feet to the left, and then the hammerhead lot would have its own 50-foot strip.
Yeah,
Right.
it looks like you'd be in the
Matthew.
wetlands right by the corner there.
Matt,
Can I ask a question?
in a minute, please.
So,
Matt?
just want to be clear that I'm not asking the applicant to do this one way or the other. I believe it's important for the DCGs, and most notably the building inspector, to have a chance to review this. And one of the other items I spoke to with one of the senior project leaders over at HST, ZT.
Yeah, YZ.
Yeah, thank you. That I appear before the DCG committee next week, so you get the feedback from the town departments, the town engineer, and the building inspector as well. Might be able to elaborate a little more on the common driveway and potentially if there's a variance required or something like that, and maybe you have a hardship showing that two driveways would be more impactful than one. I think it's important for DCG town
I
engineer
think
to
it's
review
clear
that.
we need some, some additional review on this.
I don't think it's not doable.
Right,
I think
exactly, we
it's
just need
not
some further
that,
information.
it just needs a little bit of
I would say,
adjustment.
right there, it looks like that driveway's right, almost in the wetlands, right there.
Right.
In fact, it looks like, within feet.
It's about 20 feet right now, the compacted area over here is about 20 feet from wetlands where we were out there doing the testing.
Anyone from the audience who had something you'd like to say, please stand up and say your name.
I'm Jim Baker, and I'm pretty familiar with the property. I've been working on it. And the telephone poles go up on the left side of that 20-foot right-of-way. So, I mean, are you asking us to build
Move the
two
telephone.
driveways, one aside of each other? Or, plus, there is a section of the wetland where it comes right up to the 20-foot right-of-way, or very close.
We're not asking you to do anything. We're saying, we're looking at, you know, what we have in the bylaws, and
Yeah.
we're saying we need further review on this.
Okay.
Because we're not sure that this, as drawn currently, meets the requirement for the Hammerhead lot, and we need more information to be able to make a good decision on this.
Right.
We're not asking you to create another driveway, but we're asking for more information. Ronnie?
Yeah, as she said, I think it's up to you to facilitate it for us, to bring it in and make us be okay with it. All right? It's, you know, we're trying to make it work for you if you can at all do that. If we're willing to look at it and maybe, you know, do some minor wavering or something like that on certain things, that if we could,
If
it's
that
up to the
comes up.
whole board, if it comes up. But, so that it isn't a situation where it's not like up to us to make sure that you get a hammerhead lot out here, just because there's a piece of land that allows it, you know, or would put, you know, but if we can help and it can work, fine.
Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to make any comment? Okay. So I think the, you know, the Concom and the, like you said, the DCJ review, you'll help them,
Sure.
Sure.
Through the chair, I think it's
let them navigate.
quite
that.
obvious that you're going to need a filing with the Conservation Commission, even if it's request for determination, at least for the septic area. I think it's
Yes, when we go to build
it's
out.
very clear. So, I think your best course of action is to meet with the DCG, find out what the possible further requirements would be before making any modifications to this. And speaking with the town engineer as well, if you want them to review the current plan as is, or you could solicit the feedback from the DCG at that time and make revisions accordingly, and then submit it to the town engineer. But I think you have some work yet to do here.
But explain to them that the DCG also doesn't do the vote.
That's correct. The permit granting authority is still here with the planning board.
So we make a motion to continue the hearing, and what would you suggest? End of March? Right. So we'll need a motion to continue the hearing to the second meeting in March, I believe it's the 22nd?
Yes.
22nd, we'll see that,
Yeah, so
John. Motion to continue.
make the motion to continue the hearing to the
Second.
22nd.
Any further discussion? All those,
22nd.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
How do I coordinate the DCG meeting?
I will have you guys on the schedule.
Okay.
It will be held March 2nd, Wednesday next week, starting at 10 a.m. And I could be in touch with the exact time. There's a handful of things on the agenda.
Great.
So it starts at 10 in the morning, and it's right in this room.
Awesome.
Let me get you a continuance form.
Is that right where the dirt road goes down? Is
Yes.
it Tolf Way or?
Yes, that's it.
Yes. There, where the new house is proposed in that Hammerhead lot, there was a house there for like 30 years and it burnt down in, what was that, 70, 78?
Thank you.
So it used to be a common driveway, so with two houses.
Actually, we
Thank you.
light it for fire engines.
Oh, for fine, but that was existing, that's been years.
Yeah.
The next hearing is applicant Welcome Homes, Inc., requesting a special permit for Earth Hill under section 9.6 of the Auburn zoning bylaws at Elmwood Street, rear Gibson Road, Auburn, Mass. Map 12, lot 20. I don't see anybody. So what happens?
So, through the chair, we hadn't received any correspondence for this from the applicant. I did speak with the town engineer, so nothing here in writing with us today. They are satisfied with a Plan B revision plan that I have yet to see. Also, their feedback in writing I am yet to see. The applicant not being here this evening, we did accept a continuance form from the applicant on February 9th, so we could carry this meeting over to the March 8th hearing and not exceed the 30-day threshold.
Well, first of all, do you need me to open the hearing? Okay. So,
Since he's not here.
if this is, I'm trying. It does appear that he's proceeding in the alternate route that wouldn't require this filing.
It does.
In my mind, this has been on our agenda for long enough, and my suggestion would be that we withdraw it or somehow deny it, so that it, and then he would have to reapply if he was going to go that route.
Yeah,
And
because
then-
we could come next meeting and not be there again. And
Well,
on and on and on.
That's
Yeah.
the residents keep showing up every week.
Yeah.
so-
Right. And the next meeting is what, March 8th?
Yes,
And that falls within
the 30-day
the
window.
30-day window.
So,
So we can, do one or two things, right?
through the chair, just to clarify, we couldn't withdraw it as a board unless a request came in from the applicant. All the board could do is approve, deny, or vote to take no action. If we vote to take no action, you risk conditional approval of the plan. So, I
Let
think
it go
it's...
until the next meeting.
Yeah, well, that's one option. The other option to deny.
Now,
Deny the continuance.
so the only,
Yeah,
I guess the only the feedback I'd ask the town for is, and maybe ask the audience for, is it better for the neighbors to have this come back one more time so that they can maybe get one more update? Or, because if it is going to proceed a way that's not going to require this, there's no more public process for them to participate.
Oh, it might be good to have it come back, because then
Well,
we get to
it's
see
our
it all.
understanding that there is some more information available, it just, we have not been privy to it
Okay.
yet. So does it make sense to wait one more meeting?
Through the chair, and
Yeah.
speaking with the town engineer, it sounds like they've received the plan. Town engineer's okay with it. We just haven't seen it yet. Assuming that it's all available now, it should be available for our next meeting.
Well, then,
Okay, that's fine.
we'll do one, I'm all right with one more.
All right, so let's vote to continue to the March
8th.
8th hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
Through the
Excuse me.
chair, sorry. Technically, we would need one because we had the continuance on the 9th and it lasts for 30 days, the next meeting the
Okay.
8th. So,
So it'll be on the agenda for the
Alright.
March 8th meeting.
You have to come out again.
Hopefully it won't be snowing.
Yeah.
You're going to miss us on Tuesday nights, you know?
What else am I supposed to do?
my apologies. We didn't know what was going to happen tonight, if
hadn't
they were going
heard
to
one
show
way
up
or
or not.
Yeah.
So, we didn't have communication.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Right.
That's the end of that. So signatures on the Auburn Mall, 27 Green Street.
I am yet to receive the decision from the attorneys of the Auburn Mall, so they have, a decision has to be rendered prior, 45 days, and that would be March 11th. So by the next meeting, I expect to receive that from them. If not, I'm going to prepare a draft of my own, and we're going to sign that. So
How about 27 Green Street?
I have that circulated in our packets.
I thought that was just signatures.
Yep, it's just signatures, based on the hearing from last meeting. I will, sorry.
Go ahead, Matt.
Just to point out through the chair, Mr. Faber, as a voting member, is not present today. Still would be required to sign this. All those 4 members are approved with the language in the decision today. Mr. Faber can come in and sign this at the office at his leisure, so.
Okay.
It doesn't, furthermore, it doesn't prohibit us from stamping it in and starting the appeal clock. He will need to sign it.
Jonathan, did you have something? Okay. Can't find that, that's it, certificate of action.
Oh, crap, I'm
Oh,
They were not allowed to cheat.
Go ahead.
I know the attorney for council, I'm pretty sure he's here, I don't know if he had anything.
Oh, did you have anything to?
I was just here in case you needed me. Okay, I got a little late. My daughter had something canceled. I had to run and pick somebody up. So I said, oh, I'm going to just show up just in case. I wasn't sure if I needed to be here.
Okay.
So you came without backup this time.
Exactly, yeah. Now, it was, yeah, he had homework to do. Yeah. It was a very pressing case he had to...
I'm sure.
Co-counsel.
Yeah.
Right, my co-counsel could not make it.
Okay.
So, sorry.
Go ahead, Matt. No, go ahead.
So, Attorney Flynn, this will it'll be stamped in with the town clerk tomorrow.
Okay.
It starts the 21-day appeal period. Once the appeal period's over, you can come grab the original town clerk, get it recorded at the registry, and then the A&R plans have to cite the recorded special permit on it before the whole.
So I can't record
Are we
the A&R.
keeping you up, Ron?
That's correct. Yeah.
I'll deal with you privately in the selectmen's room in this meeting.
This will start the appeal court tomorrow.
Great.
Yeah, right.
All right, wonderful.
All right. So,
Very
ready
sensitive.
for the master plan update, committee update?
Sure. Through the chair, Master Plan Committee had their second meeting. I forget what day it was. There's been so many meetings. But earlier this month, and they organized for to create a chair and a vice chair. Chairman is Greg Bowling, town meeting member, and vice chairman is Mark Imsey, former chairman of the School Buildings Committee. The Master Plan Committee started discussion, at least preliminary, start to organize how they're going to approach the master plan and which sections they appear to do next. So no full update on them yet, just that they organized.
Okay. Zoning bylaw review committee update. Matt, you're up again.
Yes, I'm gonna, if it's okay with the board, I'm gonna tie this and the draft bylaw for the RMD dispensaries together in this statement. So the zoning bylaw review committee also organized. Chairman is Mike Marin, who's on the ZBA, and vice chairman is Eric Chilton, who's the chairman of the Economic Development Committee. The committee already started examining the RMD bylaw. They went through a handful of different options for bylaws, decided that this one's the most time sensitive because of the moratorium, and already began talking about zones that these would be most appropriate, how many facilities given the Mass Department of Public Health regulations, and as you can see from the board, these are kind of the 5 key points behind us that they're going to be emphasizing and focusing on for before their next meeting, March, I believe it's the 15th.
We probably ought to have public hearings on this wacky weed thing,
Yes,
because this is the federal report on how it's affected Colorado. And there's not one page in here that says it's not illegal, and there's not one page in here it hasn't been totally detrimental to the state. Nebraska's suing them, Oklahoma's suing them, the sheriffs in Colorado are suing them. More than 3/4 of the cities and towns in Colorado have opted out of it. And federally, it's illegal. No state law supersedes federal law. I've got the quick case law.
What are you saying is illegal, Tom? Because I don't quite understand.
Marijuana, growing marijuana. If the federal, first of all,
It is illegal.
it is illegal. Federally, it's illegal.
Federally,
The only
it's
thing that's
illegal.
happened is Obama has told them not to prosecute. But if the
Ronnie,
town goes
the federal
forward with
government
this,
has taken the stance that they are letting the states make their own decisions and handle, on a case-by-case
they set up
basis.
they set up Washington and they set up Oregon as test places. And so far, it's been totally disastrous.
Does not negate the fact that we have a law on the books in the state of Massachusetts.
It doesn't supersede
And that
federal
we-
law.
I didn't say it did, I said it doesn't negate it.
And as I
And
say, I'm going to file a
in addition-
complaint with the U.S. Attorney.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Yeah, I heard you speaking.
In addition, it's what we're attempting to do here is to make sure that when it does come, and it will eventually come, that we have it in a place that we can, that the police department feels is a good place for it to be, and that we can we zone it properly, and we regulate it properly, and that's what the state allows us to do within the criteria. So that's what this whole bylaw,
What
I
they're
think
doing,
it,
they're
Matt,
breaking
excuse
federal
me.
law. They're breaking
Excuse
federal
me.
law and you're breaking,
Excuse me, Paul. Would you kind of talk a little bit about the component of the zoning bylaw group?
Sure. The members that we have thus far, 2 members of the ZBA, 1 member who served in the ZBA actually wrote a lot of the bylaws that we currently have. We also have a representative who works in security. We have a representative who is a water reclamation scientist, and we have another member who has a relative who is a patient and has a prescription for this stuff. So we get a lot of dynamic elements in the discussions here. So you hear both sides of this, and it's kind of interesting to see what's coming about so far. I think it's going to be a good development for at least the discussion. Keep in mind that when they have come up with their draft, it's going to come to this board before it is recommended to the Board of Selectmen for town meeting consideration. So
The marijuana.
that's right.
Yep, the bylaw. And it's important, we need to keep an open mind. I think there's a very good group from what, Matt had, so that, there's both sides, all sides of the table, coming together to discuss it. So we'll let them make their recommendations to us and we'll see what it brings.
as I said, nobody's pushing it, and if you take part in this illegal activity, I'll file with the U.S. Attorney in Boston.
Go for it.
Madam
I
Chair,
will.
just to be clear, we're not,
Yeah,
Madam Chair,
sure.
through the chair, we're not promoting the use of the
No.
facilities. We are simply trying to put them in one spot if they ever come here. Now, if the state or federal aid decides they're never coming to your town, then we have nothing to worry about. But if they do come to town, we've put them in one little secluded section of town if in fact the town or the state decides to break the law, if you want to call it that.
It is.
So at least we've put it into one spot that we're okay with, if in fact it ever happens.
Excuse me, so
That-
Paul,
that's-
through you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So Paul, you think that it's illegal
It is
that
illegal.
we're even designating an
Yeah.
area
You're
because it's not legal to do it?
That's right.
On the federal level, the state has mandated that we
No
all-
state law
Yes.
supersedes a federal law.
Jonathan?
What I think is, what I don't understand about your argument, Paul, is that if you're negative about having registered marijuana dispensaries in the town of Auburn, then I think you should be supportive of any effort that would further limit where and how those things could be done, while the world is still hashing out the argument that you're making right here. So, while I don't disagree with you, and I think a lot of us don't, there's a lot of smart people all across the state that have said this could happen, and why wouldn't we as a board do everything we can to protect the town and ensure that if this is going to happen, it happens in as controlled and regulated of a process as possible while that's being hashed out. So while I don't disagree with you, I think you of all people should be supportive of this effort to control it while we're in the wake of what's happening here. So.
Well, it would be like supporting a place to have prostitution. Same thing.
Slightly different though.
You want to,
There's
No,
no
it's
no
an illegal
Massachusetts
activity.
law
Right.
that creates a contradiction on that. So while it's sorting out, why wouldn't we do everything we could to protect the town?
Right. Did you have anything else, Matt?
I had, yes, Madam Chair, I had one final thing. I was hoping to have an update on the Drury Square Overlay District stakeholder meeting, but I just received, and I think I forwarded it over to you this afternoon.
Looked at it, yeah.
I was in meetings a lot today too, so I just got the draft overlay bylaw based on the comments and discussion that John and I had with Eric Smith at CMRPC for some revisions and some ideas to modify the draft. Having just received that, I believe John and I have a future discussion to have regarding reaching out to the stakeholders and maybe further discussion on the draft with CMRPC if there's still some items we feel that it lacks. And that's all I have on that.
The meeting minutes I
not
was gonna
available.
say, I mean, okay, all right. The other thing too is, I'd just like to note that I will not be at the next meeting, so giving a heads up now. Be on a beach in Mexico, so just letting you know.
Let's stretch it now.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Brooks.
Right. Should we, did you ever ask Hennigan anything about this? I'm just curious. Did Hennigan say we should spend time on it, or are all of the communities doing it?
On which one?
The
marijuana.
Or what is his thought?
Yes, he reviewed the draft. I believe it was consistent with MDA's regulations.
What did he ever say about, I'm just talking with respect to what Paul's saying. He's saying it, we're saying this one thing. I just wanna, is he's saying.
US patent.
Paul, would you please let Ron finish?
So, I'm just curious what Hennigan would say. No, don't even waste your time because it's illegal anyways, or yes, you should still have it and work on it.
I don't want to put words in his mouth or the town manager's, but I could be wrong in assuming the town manager would have had the discussion with him in the past, but...
Well, we would need a written legal opinion,
Right,
not
right.
just maybe if,
Of
when,
course.
where, and why.
Right, and I'm
Not-
assuming that
In travel.
she wasn't making this decision on her own, so, but I could,
And which was the
Try to
reason
gain
we filed for
information
the
on that.
moratorium, so that
Right.
we can make sure that we, do our due diligence
Mhm.
and get, input from,
I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's worth looking into.
yep.
You might ask.
All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.